Next one is Superintendent's report.
I have a few items to discuss with the board tonight since there's only one meeting per month. There haven't been any additional advisory council meetings since our June meeting. I have a meeting set up with the architect for next week for myself and Joel to review the second draft of the life safety report. And then once we make what we think is a good version of the second draft, I'll conduct a superintendent advisory council on the life safety second draft and see if we're getting close to where we can finalize that and begin to discuss that publicly with the board. But that's an update on that. In regards to the pool, I've been sending out communications to the board via the weekly update. White and Company has been very responsive to our request to correct some of the issues with the HVAC unit in the pool area. A meeting was held on Monday, July 3rd, to discuss possible solutions between White, 2010 Engineering, who did that project, our representative, which is Environ, and they were reviewing various solutions to the HVAC unit and the pool ventilation system. They think they've reached a tentative solution, and White was going to send a formal proposal to the district. I have not received that yet. Once I do, I will work through that with legal counsel as well as Environ, and I will also present a copy to DLA, our new architect, so they can see what's being proposed. I'll also make sure that I run that by the advisory council. I've been including them on all the emails I've been receiving, and then updating the board in summary via the weekly update. But the good news is I do think that White and Company is definitely looking to remedy the situation, and that our legal counsel has also advised us that they feel very positive in the direction this is moving at this time. So there's acknowledging that there's some issues that need to be looked at, and that hopefully we'll have some solutions in place very soon. In regards to the roof and the big hole where the leak was coming in during that hard rain we received in April, Joel has been working with Andy Totten from McHugh, and that is supposed to get fixed this month. So I will keep you posted, and obviously if you come back in August and it's fixed, you'll know it was addressed, and if not, we still have an issue, but it's supposed to be fixed this month. A few weeks ago, we had a nice meeting with State Representative Zalewski, Secretary of Transportation, Ms. Schneider, Ben Sells from the Village of Riverside, the Chief of Police from Riverside, myself, Mike Welch, and several community members. And the discussion was about the First Avenue intersection, as well as a possible bike trail or sidewalk along First Avenue to 26th Street to help students and community members get to the high school and to the zoo. Those are two separate projects. I would refer to them as Project 1 being Project A, or the First Avenue project is one. That's been identified by IDOT. We already received the left turn lane on Forest Avenue heading both eastbound and westbound. IDOT does have scheduled that they are looking to expand 2 right turn lanes on First Avenue, both on the north side and the south side. They have talked about if they did acquire land from the school and from the Forest Reserve to put in those turn lanes, they would have to move our digital sign, but it would be at their expense to move it back closer to the building. That would not occur for maybe another 2 years or so. So we're meeting still with the village representatives and the representatives from IDOT to finalize that project. Project B, which is the bike trail or sidewalk path, there's a lot of parties that would come into play because a lot of that is Forest Preserve land and not IDOT land. So we're working through a couple channels with that. I have a meeting next week with some officials from the village to start discussing a game plan with that. The good thing about the meeting, Secretary Schneider did talk about, they do work very closely and do provide some funding with Pace Bus, and her staff did contact me. I haven't heard back this week yet, but they were looking at working with Pace Bus for the meantime to try to identify some ways where they could amend some of their current routes so that there could be a direct route, a Pace route from that side of our district down First Avenue, so those students that live in North Riverside and want to ride and have to ride the PACE bus don't have to change buses to get to the school. So I'm waiting to have a follow-up meeting with some representatives from IDOT and from PACE. PTAB Cooperative, a letter did go out to all of our feeder districts as well as all of the local villages and library boards to attend a PTAB meeting, a PTAB cooperative meeting that I'm organizing for next Thursday. Our attorney, Eris Delianis, will be helping me orchestrate that, and the goal is to try to put together a cooperative where we're all the municipalities and school districts are using one attorney to address our tax appeals, especially those from the mall and the bigger businesses, so that we are sharing costs and only having to pay one set of legal fees. So that is occurring next Thursday, and my computer just went out. Give me 1 second. And then the Village of Riverside and the Bulldog River Run. There will be a second annual Bulldog River Run sponsored by the athletic department in cooperation with the Village of Riverside, and that will be on homecoming weekend this year. Some additional details will be coming out shortly, but I did want to give we did meet with the village yesterday, Mr. Scalera and the head of the rec department. We also talked about expanding some of the intergovernmental agreements in some other areas in regards to how we can work with each other to improve our relationship and to save each other expenses. We talked a little bit about how they pay a certain amount of dollars to use our pool for their summer camp, and I talked about, in June, we received a check from the village to cover the cost of their rental for their day camp to use our pool, and in July, we're paying a check to buy our new vehicle stickers for the village. I mean, those are things where we can try to swap out some of those costs, and no money necessarily has to exchange hands, and so we're going to try to continue to look at that, and so that was a very productive meeting with the village yesterday. So that's it in regards to the superintendent's report, if there's any questions.
Any questions for Kevin?
Did you say you had the Cook County Forest Preserve when you talked about the bike path?
We did not, they were not present, and that was one, that's where the village and I are going to now start trying to work with is with the Cook County Forest Preserve, because IDOT thinks that majority of that land to have a potential path or trail is Forest Preserve land, and that does not have IDOT jurisdiction.
They also, I know from a very good source, that they are looking at places where they can tie the paths together. That's like one of their goals. So it seems like we can tie some paths together with the area you're talking about also there, so it
Right.
might help it move up in the...
We have a meeting next week with the village, and we're going to invite some representatives from the Forest Preserve.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions for Kevin?